When you think about God's commandments, most of the time we probably think about the 10 commandments, and the ones that stand out to us are the ones that affect us, right? And so we think about lying, cheating, stealing, being mean to people, hurting others. These are things that we don't like when they're done to us, and we know it's wrong when we do it to other people. And we also like to see justice served whenever people treat other people badly. But we kind of forget sometimes about those first four commandments that all have to do with God, how we relate to God, how we treat Him. And probably that's because it's someone else and not us. You know, if it's another person here on this earth, we can think about how we would feel if that was done to us. But God is not visible to us, and He seems invincible. And so we don't think about the fact that there's rules about how we're supposed to treat Him. And honestly, a sin against God is way more important than a sin against another person. But because we don't see Him, maybe we don't think about that sometimes. And if someone gets punished for a sin against God, it looks harsh to us. We think that, yeah, they shouldn't have done that, but like, is it really that big of a deal? And it's like, yeah, everything against God is a bigger deal than anything against a person. And so today we're going to be talking about reverence and holiness. These are things that we don't think about that much towards other people. We might think about respecting others, but we don't think about reverence, and we definitely don't treat other people as holy. But those are things that we need to think about when it regards the Lord. And so, as we go through this story today, I want you to pay attention to who is being irreverent and who is not. And you might be surprised that people don't look at this in the same way as God does. That you may think someone is being irreverent or someone is doing the right thing, and God thinks the opposite. And so, last week, if you'll remember, David was made the king of Israel. And the first thing that he did is take over the city of Jerusalem and build the city of David. And we're going to see this week that at some point after he's built the city, he decides, I think we should bring the ark here. And if you remember, it's been a little bit since we studied this, but back when Samuel was alive, his sons went to battle with the Philistines, and they brought the ark with them because they thought that if God was present with them, they couldn't lose the battle. But God was angry with them, and He did allow them to lose the battle, and Samuel's sons were killed, and the ark was captured by the Philistines. But there was a curse on every group of people wherever the ark was at that time. And the Philistines finally were like, this ark is cursing us. We want to get rid of it. And they sent it back to the Israelites. But they didn't treat it with the reverence that it required, and a bunch of them got killed right in the beginning when the ark got given back to them. And it scared everybody, and so they took it to a man's house in Kirjath Jearim, and it stayed there, and it's been 20 years now. It's been in this guy's house. So the entire time that Saul was the king, the ark was not present with them. It was just in some guy's house being taken care of by his son. And so David's like, we should really bring the ark here. And he could have done that unilaterally because he was the king. But since he's a wise king, he thought it best not to make decisions totally by himself. And so he consulted the elders of Israel and said, hey, this is what I think that we should do. Do you also think that this is what God would want us to do? Should I go and get the ark and bring it here? Because, we didn't have it with Saul. And that means that we weren't consulting God because His presence wasn't here with us. And I don't want it to be like that for me whenever now that I'm the king. And so do you think that we should bring it? And they were like, yes, we think that you should bring it here. And so it says he gathered all of the people, and it lists a town in the northeasternmost part of Israel, and then says from that northeastern town all the way to the southwesternmost part of Israel, which was the Nile River that separated Israel from Egypt. And so he gathered 30,000 men from all over Israel to go and get the ark. And he says, the ark of the Lord who dwells above the cherubim. And so, if you remember when we studied the ark, it was basically a chest that had a lid, and they call that lid the mercy seat because this is where God's Spirit hovers between the two cherubim that are situated on each side with their wings hovering over the mercy seat. And they call it the mercy seat because this is where he grants mercy to the people. And so he says, we need to go get this ark, the ark of the Lord who dwells above the mercy seat between the cherubim. And so they traveled the 10 miles into Judah and to the man's house who has the ark, and they load it on a brand new cart and begin to take it to Jerusalem. And it says somewhere along the way, one of the men whose name was Uzzah, the oxen stumbled, and he was afraid that the ark was going to fall out of the cart. And so he reached out to steady the ark so that it wouldn't fall down. And this made God angry, and he killed him. And the reason for this is because they were forbidden from touching the ark. It was holy, and they could not touch the holy things. And the thing is, they weren't supposed to carry the ark like this anyway. God created the ark specifically with rings on either side so that you could slide poles in it long ways and carry the poles on your shoulder. And if they would have done it this way, then it never would have had ability to fall out of the cart. And so God killed him for touching the ark. And it says, because of his irreverence. And then it says, this made David mad at God. He didn't like that God would kill him for doing such a thing. And maybe you feel like that too. I kind of felt like that when I first read this passage also. And that's kind of what I was talking about earlier, is the person that God thinks is irreverent, we might not think that. And so we're going to talk about it further later, but I just want to recognize that David was angry at God, and you may have a tendency to feel that too. But David was also afraid. And so he decides, I'm not going to get the ark now. I'm just going to take it to another man's house and let it sit there because I'm too scared now to bring the ark to Jerusalem. And so they took it to Obed-Edom's house, and it stayed there, it says, for 3 months. But while it was there, God blessed that house because God's presence was there. And so where God's presence is, there is blessings. And so when David heard this, when David heard that Obed-Edom had been blessed, he decided, okay, we shouldn't have carried the ark that way, and it's, not cursed or anything, and we're not going to be harmed by going and getting it. We just need to do it in the proper way. There was a way that God instructed us to do it, and I didn't pay attention to that. And so I'm just going to do it right this time.